Welcome. Hi, everybody. Peace and love from the coast of Maine. Namaste. I'm Peter Panagore. I'm Div, ex-clergy, and this is not church. Mysticism, no doctrine, no dogma, no Bravo Sierra. Last Sunday, in a piece called How to Love Others Like Your Own Soul, we touched on 1 John 2:8-11, where we learned that our essential nature, our original nature, is identical to Jesus's. What's valid for him is valid for us. What he is what we are. But unfortunately, as a teacher trying to figure out how to say what's impossible, he was often long on what and wicked short on how. So today, as promised, albeit a week late, we're going to take a deep dive look into the truth hidden inside what is perhaps the most often repeated prayer in Christendom. Christendom, that section of the world that became Christian primarily, it's talking about the West. But that's not completely true anymore. I guess now Christendom is, well, I'm going to get off that subject. Let's keep going here. The prayer is the Lord's Prayer, and it's in Matthew 6:9-13. You can also find it in Luke, but it's a little bit different there. We're going to talk about Matthew. So today's piece is called Co-Create Heaven Inside. This is not him coming to save us. This is us working with the divine together. I do my work. God, heaven, the beloved, the ineffable, the divine light, the cosmic unity of all there is, does their work. I do my side, they do their side. We co-create heaven inside us. So if you've not followed if you follow not church or recently used my other offerings, every Sunday I embarrass myself a little bit. I don't know how I do that, but I do. If you follow not church or you've recently used some of my other offerings on your pilgrimage, please like, subscribe, and click the alert button. Okay, so let's pause a moment, as we often do, to say hello to other folk over here. Janet and Wanda, Victoria, Brother Rob, Mike Powell, Helen, welcome. Let's take a moment, though, because every Sunday we pause to collect ourselves with each other in this Sanga, with some Shakipat between us. Shakti, the divine flow, the divine power, the energy that is all there is and is us. As Jesus called it, the I am. Where I am, there, said he, 2 or 3 are gathered when I am there. And I am there where 2 or 3 are gathered. Always, this energy is here. The energy, the power, the Shakti, the Christ consciousness, the oneness of love, light, and living inside us is living inside of all there is, and it is experiential. So the whole point of Not Church, the whole point of our meditation life, I was doing yoga outside, I had that button. The whole point of doing meditation in a collective is to bring heaven here to us now, to bring heaven to earth. That's the title today, and that's the point of the practice, is to become an embodiment of heaven, to channel the divine in us. All right, we have this Shakti, we have this Holy Spirit, we have this divine energy, we have this chi, prana, whatever you want to call it, this divine thing inside us, which is actually us. And we can bring this more into ourselves and bring this, our physical selves, and more into the world. That's what the practice is for. So, if it's light and love you crave, this is the place, right there. All right, so we begin with 3 ohms. Down here, in your larynx. It's all happens in the larynx, but I drive the energy up. Drive that vibration right up to my third eye. We do 3 of those vocally, and then what we do is set ourselves into our silence briefly inside our prayer chant. And my prayer chant is the Jesus prayer. You can use whatever you want. Follow your breath with your prayer word. And when your prayer word falls away, your prayer practice, your prayer mantra, your chant falls away, focus on your breath. And today, for you beginners, it's into the belly and out the nose. And for those of you who've been with me for a while, run up and down your spine into your third eye and kind of hold at the bottom and hold at the top. All right, here we go. Diaphragmatic breathing. Meditation. This is co-create heaven inside, and that is much better. I can actually see my teleprompter now. Pray this way, said Jesus. Of course, what we have in the Gospels is Koine Greek, and he was speaking Aramaic. There's already one step away from what he actually said, not to mention all the time that passed before it was written down, not to mention all the mouths it passed through. So and plus the translations that we're dealing with these days. So this is what he said. And he was using patriarchal language, at least that's the way it's recorded, because society was dominated by men. Mystics, poets, writers, and speakers all write about the ineffable through the lens of their mystical experience. And Jesus was no different, but also through the lens of their cultural context. So we try to remove the cultural context as much as we can. Jesus is just the same. In this prayer are seeds of light and truth. Matthew 6, 9 to 13, the Lord's Prayer, as you may know by heart. Patriarchal language. I'm going to read it as it's written first, as it's most often translated. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen. In Matthew, the context for the Lord's Prayer matters. Okay, so these Gospels, these canonical Gospels, weren't just written willy-nilly. They were arranged, things he said in different contexts on a different day to a different crowd. They took and put them together to present a unified context for their purpose, okay? So the context in the Gospel of Matthew for the Lord's Prayer, as it's placed in the Gospel of Matthew, begins at verse 5 in the same chapter. And this is what he said about prayer, about the how-to prayer. Don't pray like an actor on a stage for all to see. Don't pray on an actor on the stage for all to see, like an actor. Don't pray like an actor. An actor is a person who can so believe what they're doing that when it's presented, you believe because they believe. Well, that's okay, but there are bad actors. I mean, that's what acting. When you watch a movie, ever watch a movie with the sound off? Watch a movie, your favorite scene with the sound off, so you can't hear their tonalization, and see instead how they act. Some actors are more see-through than others. Other actors don't need their voice. Their action is so powerful. That's not really what Jesus is talking about. I don't think so. I think he's talking about the bad actor, the actor who doesn't really act well and pretending to be, and everybody can kind of see this pretend if you have eyes to see, if you turn off the sound and you just watch what they do. Then don't pray like an actor on a stage so everybody can see what you're doing. Because with eyes to see, you can actually see what's going on there. They're praying for the audience, not for the divine. That's what he's talking about. Don't pray so that people pay attention to you. The reward for them, he says, is human praise. Instead, go inside yourself, he says, and pray to the hidden, ineffable, in secret, who sees you in secret, and you will restore yourself to yourself. Don't keep piling up words upon words. Instead, understand that the all-powerful knows what you want at the core of our beings before we formulate the idea of it, because God is living at the center of your being. This is the longing or intuition we feel. Now, I'm going to read that whole thing again, because this is probably not how you've ever heard it before. You might want to go back to your Matthew at verse 5 and take a look. But this is what he means. Don't pray like an actor on a stage for all to see. The reward is human praise. Instead, go inside yourself and pray to the hidden, ineffable, in secret, who sees you in secret and will restore you to yourself. Don't keep piling up words upon words. Instead, understand that the all-powerful knows what you want at the core of your being before you formulate the idea, before the word is spoken, because the God is living at the center of your being. This is the longing or intuition we feel. This is how I hear it in my mind, the Lord's Prayer. Birther of all life, you are heaven above. Ineffable is your name. May your present radiance come to me and live inside me, letting your will become my will. As you are in heaven, oneness. Give my soul and body what they need for me to be in heaven now. Let your heaven come to earth through me. Make me a channel of your light. Forgive the pain I cause others as in a measure for the pain I forgive before my coming death, when your abundant mercy flows for me again. Protect me and surround me with a force shield of your light, that no darkness overwhelms me. For you are present in everything, everywhere, all the time. You are the powerful, the all-radiant glory in all time and space and beyond. I'm going to read that again too. Birther of all life, you are heaven above. Ineffable is your name. May your present radiance come to me and live inside me, letting your will become mine as you are in heaven, oneness. Give my soul and body what they need to be in your heaven now. Let your heaven come to earth through me. Make me a channel of your light. Forgive the pain I cause, and a measure of the pain I forgive before my coming death, when your abundant mercy flows for me again. Protect and surround me with a force field of your light, that no darkness overwhelms me. For you are present in everything, everywhere, all the time. You are the all-powerful, all-radiant glory in time and space and beyond. I know some people have questions about, lead us not into temptation. Why would God lead us into temptation? I don't think so. I don't think so. I think the prayer is, protect and surround me with a force field of your light, that no darkness overwhelms me, that I remain inside your will, that your self becomes more powerful inside of me, that I am empty enough of my own egoic attachment to myself and my own story and my own identity, that your will, capital W, becomes mine, so much so that I find my power to forgive others, as I know that your abundant mercy will forgive me because I was forgiven. This divine radiance is encapsulated in this prayer. Everything I've ever talked about can be found, well, not everything, but a lot of things I've talked about can be found inside this prayer, this Lord's Prayer, birther of all life. This is what I experienced in heaven, that all life, that not just the human life, but the birther of all life, not just on earth, but everywhere across the universe, not just in this universe, but all universes, birther of all life. You are heaven above. You are this divine radiance, an ineffable infinity above and beyond my capacity for understanding. You are so far beyond me that even without my brain, I could not comprehend you. Infinity still was darkness to me, even though there was illumination all around me and inside of me. Nameless, genderless, timeless, religiousness, less. Ineffable is your name. May your present radiance, that which you are, that light that who you are, come and dwell inside me. Let me become less, yet you become more. Let your will become mine. Come and dwell inside me. Your heaven, your oneness, this thing that I've craved since the moment I came back. Let this be me. Let you be me. Let me, Peter, my will be vanished. My egoic attachment to myself become diluted, and more diluted. It is already diluted, but I mean diluted and diluted. It is diluted. I want it to be diluted and diluted by your will, your oneness. Give my soul and my body the bread that they need now, the bread of heaven. Feed my soul with yourself. Give me what I need in the world. These two things. There's no mission in the world without money. Somebody taught me this. No money, no mission. You have a mission in the world. The money you need is the bread for your soul so that you can do your thing in the world. You want to be able to channel heaven here now? Feed your soul. Let this bread of life feed you. All right. Maybe you're gluten intolerant. You don't want to talk about bread. Maybe you want to talk about Shakti. Maybe you want to talk about the divine presence or the Holy Spirit or the downloading. This is what I mean. I don't mean bread at all. What I'm talking about is the emptying of the will of yourself to allow the largeness of the will of the divine to dwell inside. That's the bread I'm talking about. But we also need to live in the world. We need to be able to exist in the world. So we ask for both, not one or the other. Give me what I need. I don't say, I need this and I need that and I need this other thing. I say, give me what you want me to have. Give me what I need and don't know that I need. This is one of the reasons this portion of this passage is one of the reasons I don't ask for things. I don't ask for gifts. Give me instead what you want me to have. And I don't even name that. I simply enter into emptiness. I don't actually pray this prayer. And if I did, I would hope that the words would fall away like all words fall away. This is more of an explanation of how to do this rather than he says, when you pray, pray this way. These are good words to help people do that. But in the depth of the silence of the self, even words like these should fall away. And let them instead be written on your heart and aim your heart at the oneness of the divine. This is how it's done. Let your heaven come to earth through me. Your will be done. Let your divine light come into my life and out into the world with as minimal a filter as it can, as I can muster, as I can eliminate. If a filter, push that filter aside. Myself, my story, my idea of who I am. Let heaven come to earth through me. Let all of us, if we, the more of us that channel this awakening that's going on in the world, the divine coming, being driven by spirituality, being driven by medical science and NDEs, and all of us who have had mystical experiences outside of NDEs, beyond those, or before those, or having nothing to do with them in terms of you don't actually die, you have a mystical experience of another kind. That is the presence of heaven coming to you into the world. Make that your focus, not with an idea of what it is, not with trying to gain what you had in that mystical experience, but simply to look at the feeling of it. Look at the feeling of it and let the heaven flow into you. Make me a channel of your light. Make me a channel of your light. This is my prayer. Your will be done. Make me a channel of your light. Forgive the pain I cause in the world. I know when I came back, I went through this life review in which I suffered all the pain. I came back expecting to go back to heaven through another passage of pain. Practice of forgiveness for me personally, just talking about myself. I expect to go back through the same experience. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. But my expectation is I better learn to forgive now. And how do I learn to forgive? I've learned to forgive by emptying myself. And it's not easy, okay? I'm not saying it's simple because it's hard to forgive someone who's actually hurt you. But instead of running through the, oh, this person did this to me and that person, and bringing up all the feelings that have to do with that and getting really, or oh my gosh, he hurt me so much. Bless them. When you think of them, bless them. Free yourself. Forgiveness is a process of freeing yourself from the burden of it. I carried a burden into heaven, burdens into heaven when I died. Cleansed of them for sure. I want to carry as few as I possibly can through life, if only for my own sake. The measure of my forgiveness in heaven was immeasurable. I was forgiven in an immeasurable way. That's how I want to forgive here. Let me forgive those who trespass against me. How to do this? Again, it's always the same. It's the divine energy itself. It's being in the radiance itself. One learns to forgive by being in the radiance of forgiveness. That is the love. That is the buzz. That's the warmth. It's the energy you feel inside your heart. Abundant mercy awaits. And the more one forgives others, the more one forgives oneself, which is even harder to do. But all of this is contained in the power of the all life. I don't seek to forgive others. I seek I don't pray in my heart for forgiveness. I pray for the oneness to be with me. And what comes from that is forgiveness. Because in the practice of the centering of oneself in this silence, one disappears and sees oneself for who one is and does not attach to even the pain that we cause. And I practice this blessing thing. When I think of myself and I think of the regrets that I cannot fix, I bless those people who I hurt. When I think of the people who've hurt me, I bless the people who hurt me. And in this way, I relieve myself on both counts. It's a practice of a mental focus. Protect and surround me with a force field of your light, that no darkness overwhelms me. Lead me not into evil. Protect me with a force field of your light, so that the darkness in all of its forms cannot overwhelm me. This living inside the radiance of the divine presence, this will above will becoming my will, is that force field of light. That when the darkness of the world, and I'm not talking about, well, I guess I could be talking about, I'm not talking about sort of like devils and those sorts of things. I'm talking about humanity and the darkness of humanity overwhelming me, or the darkness of disease, or the darkness of nature in its tumultuous tornado, for instance. That darkness of being a human being in this world of suffering, that darkness does not overwhelm me. How is that possible? I can't actually be protected from those things. This protection, this force field, doesn't keep out the bad things in life. It keeps us in the light itself. How do I explain this? It's like it doesn't stop me from suffering in the world. It prevents the suffering from overwhelming me. It gives me strength and fortitude and courage. Because when I see myself for who I am, when the divine will is mine, with a little m, okay? I don't like own the divine will. When myself disappears and the divine will becomes me, even by measure, small measure, then it comes with the gifts of strength and courage. Why? Because it shows you who you are. And when you see who you are, even the darkest night cannot overwhelm you, because it's all physical and not transcendent. You are present in everything. You are present in everything. Everywhere, all the time. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory. You are present in everything, everywhere, all the time. In me, around me, in my friends, in my enemies, in the world, and everything there is in earth and the universe and beyond. This is also this energy of the will that comes to dwell inside us. You are all powerful, all radiant glory in all time and space and beyond, forever and ever and ever. Amen. How I hear you in the hidden chamber of my heart is silence, unspoken, unspeakable, presence, radiance, buzzing, warmth, peace, joy, healing of a different sort. Healing of a different sort. The healing is the fundamental awareness of one's original self, one's original goodness. Jesus taught this prayer, or something like this prayer, because of all of what I just said. Because inside of the prayer is all of this. So you can chant this until the words fall away. That's beautiful. But it's an instruction manual. This whole chapter, verse 5 and following of Matthew 6, tells us how to pray. Go inside yourself. Don't pray like an actor. Go inside yourself and pray for the divine radiance to become you. There is no other than that. There is only one real with a capital R. All the rest, including me. Did they write down his words exactly? Well, no one was following Jesus around carrying a chair, a desk, a parchment scroll of animal skin, and a stylist. No, that's not a pen, it's a stylist and ink. No one was recording his words, not ever in his life. So who could afford the luxuries like that? A chair. Who owned a chair that they could carry? And a stylist. Who had the education? The luxury of the education and then schlepped around recording every single word he said. That didn't happen. Instead, remembering his words was a community effort in an oral tradition. And different communities, they remembered different stories, and they remembered the same story in different ways, and they remembered the light as long as it was within them. And stories helped the light live. That's why he became so famous. Because it wasn't just his presence, it was the stories they told about him and the hope that it gave them. But for those who were mystics, it was more than just a dream of hope. It was this will became their will. And then, of course, what happened? Along came the Council of Nicaea, which codified the Bible for the first and not the last time, and they deified Jesus. Well, you may recall from 1 John last week that what's true for Jesus is true for us. He taught this prayer, the Lord's Prayer, out of his experience. It was his mystical experience that he was talking about here. He didn't reach up and pull down a star from heaven and read it. He lived this. And so he taught this prayer, and people remembered it as best they could and translated it from the Aramaic into the Greek and down to the translations, etc., etc. But at the core of it, inside of it, hidden in the metaphors of it, all it does is point to the light of the divine itself. That's all he ever did. He was always pointing to the light of the divine. He came to teach us this inward way into what the church calls the Christ. I read this thing by Richard Rohr a couple weeks ago. Richard Rohr, the famous priest there, mystical priest. He called this other person a Christ. This guy is a Christ. This is somebody whose name I knew. That Jesus wasn't the only Christ, is what Rohr was saying. And this is what I'm saying. Is this Christ consciousness called by so many different names is equal for him as it is equal for us. It's valid for him as it is valid for us. The fact that he was a mystical genius, okay. And that he was enlightened, absolutely. And that my light is much smaller than his, yeah, for sure. But it's the same light. The problem isn't the light, it's the filter of the light. What he called the singleness, the I am, or the light, it's what you are. And you learn to pray You create heaven inside yourself. How do you bring heaven to the earth? You bring it inside yourself. That's it. So go inside your heart. Teach yourself to pray without words. And then slip into the silence. Be still and know the beloved. It's that simple. You want to bring heaven to earth? You want earth to become like heaven? Right there. That's the place. You can't make anybody else, can't change anybody else. Right here. We co-create heaven inside us. How do we do this? Through effort of silencing our thoughts, of living in the world with kindness. That's how we bring heaven here. Only it's real. It's not imagined. It's the divine presence inside you, because the co-creation part of it is the elimination of self. I make my human self, I take my effort, I give my effort to make my human space hospitable. Thy will be done is being in the presence through self-surrender, which is the silence, which is fullness inexpressible. I know I come back to the same thing again and again and again. Why do I always talk about it? Because the only way out is in. All our ideas, all our knowledge, not so much. Right here, the temple of your heart, the secret place. Thy will be done. Let your will become my will. When asked how to pray, that's what he said. And he's not the only one who understands this. All through history, mystics everywhere, contemplatives who live today. The elimination of self, attachment to self. So next Sunday morning, I'm going to be in North Atlanta in Georgia. I'm going to be at Unity North. I say this right. I'll be at the Unity North Atlanta Church in Georgia. I'll be at the Unity North Atlanta Church in Georgia speaking that morning. They're flying me down, and I'm going to be hosting a workshop that afternoon. So if you're in Georgia and you're in the Atlanta area, it's the Union North Atlanta Church in Georgia. Unity? Oh my God, I've been saying it wrong. Unity. ADD, dyslexia. Unity North Atlanta Church in Georgia. I'm going to be there, and so next week there's going to be another video here. It's going to be a repeat, okay? But I went through my repeats and I saw which one people liked, and this is only a Saturday night and a Sunday night trip. I'll be back at my desk on Tuesday morning for our Zoom group. So it's going to be a previously streamed talk, and it's about Jesus and the extraterrestrials. It's a lecture I heard, taken from a lecture I heard at Boston College that blew my mind, but also fit exactly into my near-death experience. Jesus and the extraterrestrials. I'll be back live for our Zoom group on Tuesday morning. And in 2 weeks from now, when I'm live here again, we're going to be going into the Gospel of Thomas, saying 26, the speck and the beam. The speck and the beam. That's familiar from the other Gospels. But of course, in the Gospel of Thomas, has a different, you'll hear it with a deeper, truer meaning that now you'll be able to go back to the other Gospels and say, oh, that's what he was talking about. That's what he meant. Anyway, thanks for spending time with me this morning. And your gifts really do make this channel possible. I know that inflation is hitting people, and I know that it's a hard time right now. And so I triply, quadruply, sevenfold thank you for all the support that you've given me. It's really literally making it possible for me to be here. Now, someday in the future, if the movie ever gets made, which it's looking like, right? It's looking that way, I'll be in a different situation. But for the time being, Thank you so much for you make it possible for me to like basically do not church from beginning to end. So you're recurring and regular givers. Thank you for all you people who've been recurring and regular for so long too. It's PayPal, Patreon, Venmo, and Zelle. And I keep my platforms free and open purposefully. Like I don't have up paywalls on purpose because this is for everybody. It's not even mine, okay? When I thank you, Mary. Thank you very much for the super chat. Um, it's not mine. People say, "Oh, thank you for your light." It's not my light. Okay? It's not Peter's light. It's not Peter's light. It doesn't belong to me. I keep my platforms open and free purposefully to be accessible to anyone who's seeking this light. And if they can see it in me, great. It's not mine. I'm here just to give it away. So thank you, community, for your gifts. And you can join us on Mondays and Wednesdays on YouTube for Centering Prayer Practice, where I do a little bit of teaching from the mystical masters worldwide, like Rumi and Hafez and people like that, and others. I quote truth where I see it, period. I quote truth where I see truth. Truth is not the exclusive capture of Christianity. It's all over the world. I see it through the temple and the eye of my heart. Tuesdays, of course, we have the Zoom and all this stuff. You can find all these links at peterpanagore.love. And if you want to talk to me, that's where you can find me. Thank you, Maggie, over there in Scotland. Thank you for the 20 pounds. Thank you. This is an international community we have. People from all over the United States. We got Scotland and England and Belgium and Costa Rica today and Canada and the United States and probably other places too. Holly, thank you, Peter, for the beautiful message beyond words. Thank you, Holly, for saying that. It's weird. I've got this glasses for this. I don't need glasses for that. You're welcome, everybody. I do this. Like, I know a lot of people are coming to my channel because they see me on all these podcasts. I use the Bible as a mechanism to explain the truth that is beyond all religion. I use the Bible in order to help people access the truth that exists beyond all religion. A lot of people in the West, in Christendom, they've been christened or baptized into a church, and their cultural context is Christianity. That's why I do this. There's an inexhaustible supply of messaging in the Gospels for me to utilize on your behalf. That's why I do it. I use the tools that I'm skilled in and I'm trained in the West to find the light that is neither east nor west, neither north nor south. All right. Anybody have anything they want to bring up today? Yes, Mystic Tea Salon today, Trudy, Linda Truax. Hi, Linda. Yes, Mystic Tea Salon at the top of the hour. The link is in the description below, and also you can sign up to get a weekly reminder at peterpanagore.love with the links. Thanks for saying so. Oh, hola, Manuel in Argentina. I love that we have South America represented. I love South America. I know that everybody's different down there. You have all these different cultures. That's what makes it cool in all these different countries. Not been to Argentina, but would love to go someday. I often wondered if Jesus himself didn't write things down because how the records got corrupted. He knew that the spirit of what he shared would live on and people as a living gift would continue. This is exactly, thank you. I often wondered if Jesus himself didn't write things down because, and he was literate. I think he was literate. He was quoting from the temple. A lot of literacy. He was quoting from the temple. Was he literate? Could he write? I don't really know. It's possible. Um, he could read. That we know. He could read because at one point he reads from the scrolls. A lot of people could read. Could he write? Probably. But he didn't write stuff down because records get corrupted, because he wasn't trying to teach the words. Holly is this is it. Holly, you're right. He wasn't trying to teach the words. He's trying to teach the heart. It's the divine energy that gets passed down generation from generation. Not because it's got to be passed down in this temporal spatial place, but the how to do it gets passed down. And then it comes inside, because this is a living energy that supersedes and overcomes all physical reality. Jesus knew that. He knew that the spirit of what he shared would live on in the people as a living gift that would continue, says Holly. Yes, 100%. All right. I think good morning, Maureen and Maggie and Vineyard Worker. Let's see, Brother Rob. All right, let's see. In order to love oneself as we are, we cannot be carrying resentments against the people who shaped us, even if it was by an unkindness and a pain. It's all part of the journey. Amen, Wanda. Candyman, forgiveness is the hardest feeling to perform, especially when the person whom you should forgive has wronged the people you love. That is very hard, Candyman. That's very hard. Forgiveness isn't acceptance of what they did, okay? It's not like when you forgive, you can forgive the murderer for the murder and still want justice. Yeah, that's for sure. It is hard to forgive those who've wronged the people that you love. When one sees one's own brokenness to the core of one's physical self, it gets easier. What's that saying? But for the grace of God, there goes I. Yup. How do you forgive the ones who hurt the ones you love? That doesn't mean I would roll over backward if I see somebody hurting my wife or family. I'd stop them if I could. Forgive them of their brokenness, not of their action, but of their self-brokenness. That's what forgiveness is for me. I recognize in them the same brokenness that is in me. My humanness, my being born, my being not fully light. I still might judge their action, okay? But I forgive their humanness. I forgive their similarity to me. I see them as light. And I can still want justice. All right, my friends. Thanks for being here this morning. I'll see you at the top of the hour in about 11 minutes. I'm going to turn that video that you zoom on quickly. One last word. Mystic Chai next Sunday. Mystic Chai Salon, says Ken, next Sunday for Ken. And Ken, get me that info if I don't already have it, which I may, but be helpful if you send it to me. Another Unitic Student Unity Churches of Christianity is a great community of seekers and spiritual truths. They are most in large cities, the Unity Churches he's talking about. Visit one often and discover a wonderful resource. Amen to that. Pray for for the enlightened of those who do not have it. Pray for the enlightenment of those. I simply pray for the divine presence and that the divine light live inside them. Michael Z. Peter is on fire today. The fire's inside of you, brother. All right, I gotta go. Ellen, brokenness. Thank you. Love, forgiveness, their brokenness as I strive to forgive my own. Amen, Ellen. Amen. All right, I'll see you all coming up in a few minutes. Peace and love. Namaste.